Hello everybody, welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. How will Spurs line up with Ange Postecoglou? Can Ange Postecoglou turn Spurs into Manchester City? And can I get through this video without doing an Australian accent? Let's find out. God, it's tough. So this is how Postecoglou is going to revolutionise Tottenham Hotspur from the top to the bottom. That's right, guys. It's time to put away the negativity and it's time for a little bit of optimism. I will give you my heartfelt feelings on Postecoglou at the end of the video, but let's talk tactics first and foremost. Now, Tottenham are going in a completely different direction with the appointment of Ange Postecoglou. They'll be moving from pragmatism, pessimism, and a defensive-minded approach to a philosophical and thought-through method of operating. Ange's arrival at Spurs will be like nothing they've seen before. Will this be good or bad? Time will only tell. But what I can tell you is how he'll line up and why his methods of being manager are different and who will be the casualties of his arrival. Actually, saying that, I'll tell you what, 3,000 likes on this, 3,000, and we'll do 3 transfer windows on Tottenham. We've done it on Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. We're going to be doing it on Newcastle, probably Arsenal, maybe Everton as well. Wasn't going to do Tottenham, but why not Tottenham? Give us the likes and we'll do it. Go. So, who is Ange Postecoglou? Football purists will have been aware of Ange before he was at Celtic. Firstly, can we dispel the myth that he's not experienced, because he may be one of the most experienced managers in the whole of the Premier League. He's 57 right now, but has been managing since 1996, which means he has 27 years of managing experience under his belt. He's been about, guys. The jobs that he's had are also fascinating. He's managed senior club sides in Australia, managed the Australian under-17s and under-20s, managed in his birthland of Greece, and also managed in Japan and, of course, Celtic as well. The experience he's gained from these different jobs have given him a holistic view of not only his football philosophies, but have also made him one of the best recruiters we have seen as far as managers go. It is so uncommon that a manager is not only a fantastic coach, but also an excellent talent spotter. And that is what Postecoglou is. His unique recruitment model of signing players from lower leagues and Asian markets is something that makes him even more cool if you're a football hipster. I mean, I'm not bothered, I'll be honest. Maybe I'm not a football hipster. My one worry with this is how it works with Daniel Levy. Now, we all know Levy loves a club signing, and I'm not sure how that will work if Postecoglou doesn't have top-to-bottom control of the ins and the outs. Sounds naughty. Grow up. Especially with this being his first job in England. I'm not sure if he'll have the power to confront Levy, and if he's not happy with it, especially when Poch, Jose and Conte couldn't do it, then is that going to be something that might mean that he walks away from the job, because he is a man of principle. Nevertheless, Ange will improve players already at the club. Take Callum McGregor at Celtic, for example. He was already decent when Postecoglou came, but since his arrival, he has made him one of the best players in Scotland and has made him untouchable within the Celtic squad. This is something that makes Postecoglou's arrival at Spurs so exciting. Say it with me. To the tactics board. There she is. Now, it's worth noting, it could also be Carter Vickers at right-sided centre-back on this. Now, this is what you can typically expect from his Celtic side when in possession. The 4-3-3 single pivot is used as a means of controlling possession, but also allowing the 2 8s to enter half spaces. Celtic averaged 72.3% possession in the league this season, which shows how effective their approach is for retaining possession. Starting off with the single pivot, Callum McGregor as the single pivot is pivotal. It's down there, isn't it? It's pivotal in this side. He averaged 90.5 touches and 73 accurate passes per 90 during the season. I can see from this diagram here that everything flows through him, and he's at the base of everything that Celtic do. The fullbacks are also an interesting part of the system under Postecoglou. Here we have Greg Taylor's heat map. From the heat map and the diagram of their approach, we can see that he'll often take up an inverted position. The reason for this is to allow Rio Hatate to move forward. and to create a front five when dominating possession. This is a similar method to what Manchester City do. On the other side, Alistair Johnson will have a slightly more reserved role, but will still enter the opposition half in wide areas to be an option to recycle the ball. The 2-8s are interesting, really, really interesting. Whilst both of them have license to get forward, they do it in very different ways. Rio Hatate is somewhat more reserved as he'll take up positions just outside of the box, whilst Matt O'Reilly on the other side, he will be much more aggressive in the attack. Having Hatate as a recycler of possession high up the field is incredibly effective at collecting those loose balls. Because of his advanced position, he has picked up 8 assists in the league and 6 goals. If no clubs come in for him in the summer, I'm going to be so shocked. He has a real sort of Modric vibe about him. The wingers in this side play exactly how you'd expect within a possession-orientated side. They start wide, but they will then come inside during the latter stages of moves and provide that goal threat. And we've got Maeda here, but Lyle Abada has been fantastic too this season, both of which are examples of finding talent in off-league and developing them to the point of which that they flourish. The striker position too requires 2 things, technical ability and spatial understanding. Kyogo will sometimes go 10 to 15 minutes without even touching the ball. However, whenever he does get it, he always picks up good spaces which he can either use to threaten the goal or displace defenders and allow others to pick up the consequential space. So how does Postecoglou want to set up out of possession? This is an important part of Postecoglou, and you can expect a Postecoglou team to press high and aggressively. Despite it being an aggressive press, it's still very methodical and thought through. So out of possession, his teams will move to what resembles a 4-4-2. The idea being that one of the front 2 press the centre-back who receives the ball, whilst the other shuts off the passing lane to the pivot. This means that there is only 2 options for the opposition teams in possession, either play a risky ball or risky square ball or hoof it. Either way, they are unlikely to retain the ball, or they're going to win the ball back in an advanced area. Defending from the front has been a key facet to Postecoglou's setup. Celtic kept 16 clean sheets in the league last season, conceding only 0.9 goals per game. Matt O'Reilly being deployed in this role also meant that he averaged 1.5 tackles per game. If a team tries to play a patient game and play the ball between their defenders, the focus will switch to engaging a man-for-man press, which looks a little bit like this. Yeah, impressive, I know. So this is where Celtic sort of move up the pitch and make the spaces as limited as possible for their opponents. If an opponent tries to do this, then both strikers will press the centre-backs, and Hatate as a central midfielder will then engage the pivot. Against teams who dominate possession against Celtic, such as the teams in the Champions League this year, the striker will often be dealt the task of sticking to the pivot throughout the match and be as much of a disruptor as possible. This means that teams struggle for momentum and they can't string together patterns of play. But how will Spurs line up? James, stop talking about Celtic. Move on. Fair. So, this is the answer to the question that you've all been asking, okay? This is how Spurs will probably line up under Ange Postecoglou. And let's be honest, it doesn't look good, bruv. It's, yeah. But, you know, summer and that, spending money and that. But the big problem here is personnel. As we can see here, there are so many square pegs in round holes. And in the goalkeeper's case, there isn't even a peg for the hole, with Lloris, of course, leaving. The centre-backs are a big issue. Firstly, Romero and Davies are the only options that can really play the style Postecoglou wants, but Davies isn't really a centre-back. Now, okay, you could move him to left-back and have him play in an inverted role like Johnson does on the right for Celtic, but who do you play at left-sided centre-back then? Eric Dyer or Sanchez? Yeah. Either way, it's not great. The midfield is slightly better. Bentancur could be an excellent dominant 6, I think, in a Postecoglou midfield with his passing range and how press-proof he is and how progressive he can be as a carrier. Basuma also fits the bill for an energetic 8 that can do a bit of everything. However, Højbjerg, as the most attacking of the 3, just doesn't really work for me. I know he's done well there for Denmark in the past, but this is an entirely different assignment, I think. When it comes to the front 3, it's again a bit better, but not perfect. Son is ideal as he's a goal-scoring inverted winger that would thrive in this system. I really think that. But I'm not sure if Kane can do the high-intensity, selfless running that Postecoglou sometimes asks from his striker. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. The striker role in a Postecoglou team can often be a sacrificial lamb to negate opposition teams, and I'm not sure how Kane would feel about this. For the right wing position, it's again a big question mark. Kulusevski's loan from Juventus is still yet to be made permanent, which I'd forgot. I just thought it was permanent. So who knows what's going on there. Richarlison could probably do well, but Kulusevski would be a far better option. So to summarise, Daniel Levy has to help Ange Postecoglou here, or it is doomed to fail. Doomed to fail. If he helps Postecoglou, then it could be the start of something beautiful. And that kind of leads me on to my feelings on this. I like it. I've got to be honest. Or maybe I want to like it. But what I think about this one is that you need a strong, positive character here. Kind of more so than anything. Now, he may get sort of run out of town. But you know, if you think of what he's had to get through to be a success, even just recently at Celtic, and let's remember, 27 years of management. Postecoglou comes into a situation where Tottenham are a joke. They feel like a joke. They're bullied. They are consistently bullied because, you know, they have been pathetic. And their fan base needs someone to lead them out of the dark. That is what, you know, when I've spoken about previous possible managers, that has been a big thing for me that I think Tottenham need. I need someone that goes, I get it, you're scared, you think we're in a really horrible place here. Don't worry, just walk with me. And if people want to shout and scream and throw names, throw stones, whatever, let them do it. Like, let them do it. That is exactly the kind of human being that you need right now. You know, numerous sort of, you know, egos. I don't want to use crazy language here, but like guys that thought they were better than Tottenham. Here you've got someone who I think will galvanise the fan base. I also think when we're talking about someone like Harry Kane, I think Harry Kane is leaving. So you need a manager who's willing to get going without Harry Kane. And when we look at this system and that sacrificial lamb that is that central striker, maybe that allows you to let Harry Kane go and start again. And you need someone who has the charisma to go, it's going to be okay. Just trust me and trust my convictions. But do that on the front foot. That's another thing, you know, I talk about it all the time. There's often a very big switch from what failed with the last manager to what you're hoping for with the new manager. And that's certainly the case here. Postecoglou will play aggressive, attacking, entertaining, possession-based football where they have the ball, they score beautiful goals. They might get pumped a couple of times because they're having a go, but at least they're having a fucking go. At least they're having a go. That is the thing with this. Football these days, you need to be excited by your team. Be that from, I can't believe we're here and we're getting points, or the quality of the football. And I think when you're at the top, in the top half, because that's what Tottenham have become, they're a top half team now, especially when they lose someone like Harry Kane, there's going to have to be a huge rebuild here. But again, Postecoglou has done that. I think I was reading that 14 signings came in that first year and he went and did the double. Now, I know that being successful is probably easier at Celtic than it is at other places because of the dominance they have overall of the league, and you've just got to kind of get past Rangers. But it wasn't a terrible Rangers side last year, and he's gone on and done a treble this year. This isn't sort of the Brendan Rodgers years where you didn't really have actual competition like Celtic did. And I saw them in the Champions League against Leipzig, and it was only a lack of quality of personnel that cost them. And it was sort of like, I remember doing a match reaction going, well, what are they supposed to do? You know, the quality wasn't there. So I think he's a great appointment. You know, is he going to get them over the line in terms of, you know, winning trophies? Is he going to get eaten alive? I don't think he will get eaten alive. I don't think he will. Will you have to go backwards to go forwards? Quite possibly. But I heard this thing the other day. I thought it was really interesting. He was talking about cows and buffalo. Stay with me. When there's a storm, cows run away from the storm straight away. They get scared and they panic and they run. Buffaloes stand still. And Ange Postecoglou is a buffalo. Because Arne Slot, other managers, they are cows in this scenario. What happens with cows is, if they'd got the job at Tottenham, they're going into a storm. And if you're running away from the storm, or you've got that kind of mindset, what happens with cows is that these cows run and then they get tired and then they can't get away from the storm because it just keeps carrying on with them. The buffalo stands still, kind of looks the storm in the eye and gets through it quickly. What Postecoglou, I think, with the personality and the experience that he has, and the fact that he's not been in the Premier League, is it's got nothing to do with this. Overall life experience is crucial. Ability to deal with pressure is crucial. Finding gems around the world is actually going to be quite crucial, I think, for Tottenham as well. You need to find those little wins. But size of character, I think, is a massive, massive element of this next Tottenham manager. And being able to inspire a group of people and individuals and do it in a way that really does, not through fear, but through, the desire to achieve and to buck the trend, right? I think you'll get through that storm quicker, quite possibly with Postecoglou. You give yourself a real chance here. And he will be excited to take the job, obviously. Massive jump for him, massive opportunity for him. But one mustn't patronise this guy. He's a smart dude who's done brilliant stuff, playing great football. What more do you want? If you want to turn your nose up at him, that's kind of what's happening to every Tottenham fan when they have to talk about their club right now. So maybe having someone who's kind of the embodiment of that, but he's your guy anyway, so screw everyone else, is the kind of siege mentality that will allow that buffalo that is Postecoglou to not run away from the storm, but to just head straight through it, rebuild with a very clear vision of how you want to play, and to crack on, and to become a team that can compete again. You have to remember, Tottenham will always be a team that is kind of struggling to compete, but has the ability to compete. That makes sense. And that's what makes it probably so infuriating, because then the trophy thing keeps hanging over your head. But I think someone with that clear vision that's going to not compare, they're just going to get on with the job in hand and outwork you. I think that's something that's going to really get Tottenham fans excited, as will the style of play. And you can get that crowd, stadium, team rocking. Time will tell. Could be very difficult for him. It clearly is. But I like him. And I want him to do well. So good luck, Ange. Right, guys, if you enjoyed this one, hit the like button. If you want a 3 transfer window video, let's get to 3,000 likes on this one. Hit the notification button as well. And I'll see you in the next one. Get him out of my club! That's a shout you'll often hear on Twitter. And also amongst the more toxic terraces in the Premier League grounds, or any ground really. In this video, we're going to tell you exactly which players need to leave every single Premier League club.